This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Monday, June 29th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. The global death toll from the coronavirus has now crossed 500,000, and here in the United States, the number of cases is still climbing, especially in the southern part of the country. So state leaders are taking action to slow down the virus. Dale Hurd has the story.
With the number of new cases of COVID-19 still high, almost 39,000 reported Sunday, at least a dozen cities and states have decided to roll back their reopenings. Florida has banned bars from serving customers, and Broward County and Miami-Dade have closed beaches ahead of the Independence Day festivities.
We burned through 90% of our savings during the first shutdown, keeping this place alive. And it's just, at what point will this end?
Masks are now mandatory in Pensacola. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis blames the continued spread on the social activities of young people.
You're seeing it in those groups who are less at risk, but you're seeing them test positive at much higher rates.
California, in a reversal, is shutting down bars in Los Angeles and several other counties, just 1 week after LA bars had reopened from the lockdown.
We're seeing more younger patients who are getting admitted to the hospital. People are not wearing masks as much as they were before.
Mr. Vice President, welcome to First Baptist Dallas.
In Texas, which is seeing more than 5,000 new cases a day, Vice President Mike Pence wore a mask part of the time at Robert Jeffress's 14,000-member First Baptist Church, and at another event encouraged a crowd of over 2,000 to do the same.
Wearing a mask is just a good idea. And it will, we know from experience, will slow the spread of the coronavirus.
Many of the new cases in Texas are reported to be people who attended protests against the death of George Floyd. Cases have also gone up in Nevada less than a month after Las Vegas casinos opened. Appearing on Meet the Press, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said the death rate and hospitalization rates were the lowest in 2 months, but also called this a very serious situation and said Americans had to take action to slow the spread of the disease.
The window is closing. We have to act, and people as individuals have to act responsibly. We need to social distance. We need to wear our face coverings.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And joining us now is CBN senior medical reporter Lori Johnson. So we are headed into a holiday weekend. What should people know?
Unfortunately, we need to have a little reality check here because it's summertime. It's time to kick back and be with friends and family. And we need to know, Ephraim, that this is not behind us. We need to know that we must stay vigilant or we're going to go backwards. We're already seeing a huge increase in the number of cases. Thank God we are not seeing a huge increase in the number of deaths. In fact, we've seen the death rate go down and the hospitalization rate is not too bad. We were worried at the very onset of this pandemic that we would overwhelm our healthcare system and that hospitals wouldn't be able to treat all the people who had COVID. We're not seeing that, which is great news. But we need to know that we are in danger of going into that area. So we all need to do our part. Do those things that we did back in February when this all started, when we were all wearing masks and we were crazy washing our hands all the time and keeping our social distance. And a lot of people have let down their guard. The summer is here and a lot of people do have a false sense of security. So number one, wear masks. There's, for some reason, this political tinge of wearing masks, and that it really shouldn't be. The evidence is clear. It's been scientifically proven that masks work. They cut down the transmission of the virus. So that's one of the best things we can do. Of course, social distance and do the hand washing. And people who have these underlying health conditions, especially people who are over age 60, really need to be careful about the people they interact with, because we know that about half of the people who are infected are asymptomatic. Many of them are young. So again, we want to be with our older people and mix the generations during the 4th of July holiday. We really need to be careful.
Be careful indeed. You mentioned the politicizing of wearing masks. Well, we know the president is famous for not wearing one. Should he be doing that?
Right. Well, that's kind of I can see the positives and the negatives. We know that the president is tested for COVID all the time, so we know he is not contagious. On the other hand, we look to him as our leader, and a lot of people say, oh, well, hey, if the president's not wearing a mask, why should I? And so, but we do know that people who are around him are wearing their masks, and he does sometimes, but certainly most of the time when he's on camera, he doesn't.
Indeed. So we have seen a reversal on some openings in some states. Do you think we're going to be seeing more of this?
Well, the governors and city leaders and county leaders are doing everything they can, because we know that it's terrible for the economy to shut down after you've opened. We've seen some bars, and bars are real hot spots right now. We've seen some bars being closed, and then we've seen in other areas like in LA County where the bars are still operating, or rather in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County where the bars are still operating. They're just not serving alcohol, because when people drink alcohol, it lowers their inhibitions, and they're more likely to engage in risky behavior. So they're just hoping that these bars can stay open and still serve food and non-alcoholic beverages, and so doing everything possible to keep the economy open.
Indeed. What non-COVID health problems are we seeing as a result of the pandemic?
Well, you know, we talk about closing down the economy, and we've seen a huge increase in depression and anxiety, up 38%, but then also people who have had strokes or who are experiencing heart attack symptoms are afraid of calling 911 because they're afraid of catching COVID-19 at the hospital. Also, Ephraim, cancer screenings. Think about it. All those people who were going to have their cancer screenings February, March, April, May, those were now pushed back. And we know that the longer you wait before being diagnosed for cancer, the more serious it can be. So we may be seeing at the end of this year and the beginning of next year cancer diagnoses that are more serious than they needed to be if those people had gotten early detection.
Indeed, indeed. Laura Johnson, thank you so much for your report. Much appreciated.
Sure.
A federal judge has told New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio they cannot put severe limits on how many people can gather at worship services to prevent the spread of COVID-19, while at the same time approving mass protests. Senior U.S. District Judge Gary Sharp said by acting as they did, Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio sent a clear message that mass protests are deserving of preferential treatment. Thomas More Society Senior Counsel Christopher Ferreira told CBN News what the ruling means for religious groups in the state of New York.
The immediate effect as to these plaintiffs is that they're relieved of these indoor restrictions at 25%. The restriction should be 50%, as with comparable businesses. And they're relieved of any outdoor gathering limitations. There is no outdoor gathering limitation any longer. They need only practice social distancing.
Ferrer said the decision was an important step to limiting the trend of exercising absolute monarchy on the pretext of public health. Mississippi will retire the last state flag with the U.S. Confederate battle emblem. A broad coalition of lawmakers, black and white, Democrats and Republicans, voted Sunday to make that change, as the state faced increasing pressure for change amid current racial unrest across the country. Legislators embraced each other after the vote, with many hugging colleagues who were on the opposing side of an issue that has long divided the state. Republican Governor Tate Reeves is expected to sign the bill into law in the next few days. President Donald Trump is pushing back on a shocking report that accuses Russia of paying the Taliban to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan. The New York Times report says the president was briefed on the findings, but overnight, President Trump tweeted the intel told him they, quote, did not find this info credible and therefore did not report it to him or the vice president. Another source reporting a military official confirmed the report, but did not know if the president had been briefed. Democrats and Republicans in both houses are now asking for answers.
It is true, underline the word if, that they are paying surrogates to kill Americans. This is one of the most serious matters, I think, that has arisen in the Trump administration.
A senior administration official told the Associated Press the White House plans to brief select members of Congress about the matter today. Over the weekend, new questions surrounding unidentified remains found in Killeen, Texas, near the Fort Hood Army Base, as the search continues for a missing soldier. New remains discovered within walking distance of where the skeletal remains of another soldier, Gregory Waddell Morales, were discovered last week. 20-year-old Vanessa Gillen was last seen outside her Fort Hood barracks back in April. Her family says before she went missing, she did tell them she'd been sexually harassed by her superior, but didn't report the incident out of fear of retribution. The Army is investigating.
How is it possible to go missing on base? On a military base? How is that possible?
Officials have said foul play is suspected in both cases, but have not found any credible link between the two disappearances. This investigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, overseas, anti-American and anti-Israel chants filled the streets of Lebanon Sunday as hundreds of Hezbollah supporters marched in protest. This comes after U.S. Ambassador Dorothy Shea recently openly criticized Hezbollah and said that Washington had, quote, great concerns over Hezbollah's role in Lebanon's government. A Lebanese judge then banned local and foreign media outlets in the country from interviewing Shea for a year, saying that her criticism of Hezbollah was seditious and a threat to social peace. Shea is now being summoned to meet with Lebanon's foreign minister today. Area media said the minister would tell Shea that according to the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, an ambassador has no right to interfere in the internal affairs of another country. Hezbollah is backed by Iran and is regarded as the strongest political and military force in Lebanon. Coming up, addressing the need for good air quality in the COVID-19 era and one of the companies working for a solution. We've got that story for you when we come back.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
As the world looks for a safe reopening from COVID-19 shutdowns, inventors at an Israeli startup believe they hold a key by providing one of the things needed most, clean air. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl is on this story.
3 years ago, Aviad Schneiderman and his brother decided to take their father's heating and air conditioning business into high-tech air quality. Now Schneiderman is CEO of Aura Air.
Our product is a one-stop shop. It's a full solution for indoor air quality, from detection, analyzing, and providing you purifier and disinfecting the air. Aura is a solution for any indoor environment, from your house to your office space, hotels, automotive industry, buses, trains, any indoor environment that you can think of. We are the best solution for that.
Even before COVID-19, Israel's Sheba Medical Center used Aura Air, which touts it can filter out most particles, from allergens to dust to viruses and bacteria.
Sheba used this product because in hospital we have a lot of infections problems. And once you can give an information and also know how to attack those three vehicles, the particles, gases, and humidity in the air, you can reduce it significantly.
Now they're studying its effectiveness against the coronavirus.
There's amazing performance. We can filter the air in very high resolution, but also disinfect it. We already proved that on different viruses, on different types of flu viruses, and nowadays we are testing it on the COVID as well.
Schneiderman explains how it works.
You have the pre-filter to filter big particles. Then you have our main filter that have those three layers, the layers of the HEPA, carbon, and copper. With that you have a UVC light that can burn and destroy the bacteria in the air while getting to the product. And lastly, the sterilizer that generate the positive and negative ions in the room.
The filter system is controlled by an app whose air quality assistant is named Heidi.
You're getting the recommendation of Heidi. As we personalize the product for you, you control all the devices from one app. You have your locations, and inside of each and every product, you can see the air quality outside, the air quality inside, a summary of it, exactly what is the situation. So you can set if you have any problems of allergies or asthma, you can see your own recommendation. And lastly, you're going to get also the weather forecast.
They're also working on a portable device that can provide a 30-foot protective bubble around you.
The Aura Mini is a device that you can have your self-protection. There's part of the technology inside of it, and with that, we can give you a safe area, safe zone around you. You can use it while you're walking in the street or even sitting in coffee or driving the bus or the subway.
Schneiderman says that interest in Aura Air is growing worldwide since the outbreak of the coronavirus. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Still ahead, the back and forth between police officers and an activist where a black officer says racism isn't America's biggest problem, what he told the protester after this.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
A group of white and black officers have an interesting exchange with a Black Lives Matter activist in the nation's capital recently. Our Mark Martin spoke with FaithWire.com's Trey Goins-Phillips about a black officer's comment that racism is not America's greatest problem.
Trey, tell us the story of the argument between black and white officers and a Black Lives Matter activist. What exactly happened?
So it was in Washington, D.C. There was a Black Lives Matter protester who happened to be white, who was surrounded by a group of police officers who were just kind of controlling the area. It was a group of black and white police officers, and she got into an argument with them about racism, about systemic racism, and was making the argument that that only white people can be racist, that no matter what, white people are responsible for racism, for systemic racism, and that even black officers, if they're police officers, even though they're black, they're part of a system that is systemically racist. And so they just got into a verbal spat back and forth with each other.
And I understand the woman accused the white officer of lying about his marriage to a black woman. Is that correct?
Yeah, so at one point the conversation seemed to devolve into something more personal. Like I said, initially it was an argument, really. The woman was being really combative. The Black Lives Matter protester was being really combative. And then it, like I said, it devolved and became somewhat personal. And one of the white police officers standing next to his black colleagues said that, well, my wife is black, and started to talk about how he understands the concerns of the Black Lives Matter group and whatever. And the woman said, well, that doesn't mean you're not racist. That doesn't mean you're not part of the systemic racism in the United States. And then seemed to suggest that, well, I don't believe you that your spouse is of a different skin tone unless you show me proof. And then some of the black police officers actually started defending him and said, why would you bring in this man's family into this argument?
What else did one of the black officers tell the woman?
Yeah, at one point, one of the black officers kind of approached her a little bit closer, not combative at all, was being very friendly, and started to share some scripture with her and was trying to explain to her that we have a sin problem in America, not necessarily just a race problem. And you can take a look at the clip now.
A sin problem. The world has a sin problem, man. Okay? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Okay? America and the world has a sin problem. You understand me? That's where racism, injustice, and hate and anger and violence come from. It's not about racism. That's a black white of sin. You understand me? Read the Bible. Read the Bible. Read the Bible.
Wow, intense there. Trey, Jeremiah 17:9 says the heart is deceitfully wicked above all else. That goes along with what the officer was saying about the problem in America being a sin problem. Where does this spiritual truth fit into all the rhetoric?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was going to say next. Is that that it's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound. To say that we have a race problem is one thing, but to say that, well, we need to change this system, or we need to change this law or this rule, or ban this procedure, whatever the issue might be, that's just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. We need to weed out sinful behavior, and that's what Scripture is talking about. Is in Psalms it says, "Create in me a clean heart." We need to weed out the sinfulness, and in order to do that, we need to recognize our own brokenness and our own sin, and obviously turn our hearts toward God. So to say that we have a race problem, and if we eliminate that, then we'll get rid of everything else. All of the other issues will fall away, and things will fall into place. Like the police officer was saying, that's not going to solve the problem. If there's a problem with race, or if there's an issue with the way people are behaving, whether that's police officers or rioters or protesters, the issue is sin, and fixing that, and getting a right posture toward God, not just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. What the officer was saying was more holistic than just what a lot of Black Lives Matter rioters and protesters are saying.
All right, Trey Goins-Phillips of faithwire.com. Thank you so much for your insights, Trey.
And you can watch faithwire.com's Faith vs. Culture with Dan Andros and Dale Partridge on the CBN News Channel. It begins at 9:30 Eastern tonight. Coming up, how one youth organization is planning a nationwide cookout to help to heal America. Stay with us.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Trail Life USA is inviting its troop members and families to hold cookouts across the country and to invite someone different from them to theirs. Leaders of the organization told K-Love Radio they want the event in backyards across America to bring a healing wave. Mark Hancock, CEO of Trail Life USA, told K-Love, Jesus taught us to love one another, and now more than ever, America needs to put love into action. Trail Life USA is an alternative to Boy Scouts with 30,000 members with 830 troops in all 50 states. Before we say goodbye, it's time for your Monday Motivation, and I hope this message will inspire you as we begin another work week. This is not the time to stop chasing your goals and your dreams. They may not be easy and will often require sacrifice, but here's the deal. Sacrifice for your goals or sacrifice your goals. The choice is yours. With that word, make this a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can always find our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. Make it a wonderful week. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.